that aside, back to present time. After he'd, essentially beaten all these people in the bar, there were some peace warders come into the bar to break everything up. Derek refused to drop his weapon, and this female peace warder actually takes her staff and pokes him with it. And what happens is it actually shocks him to the ground. It's a very enchanted weapon. And it
Right.
acts like a huge stun gun. And when he wakes up, he's in this holding cell. But he didn't go directly to prison. He was just in a holding cell, just due to the fact that he was a ranking officer in the West March Navy. You can tell that in a little bit, the captain comes in and basically sets things right for him there, and gets him out, even though he still kind of lectures him and all that. But the sad thing is, this process keeps repeating a lot of times. He keeps ending up in fights. He keeps getting bailed out. One time, Maldron actually goes in. The old mate that actually went with him on that trip to rescue Lex.
Yep.
And by this point, like I say, it's been, I want to say, 17 times in 2 months or something. He's just like, well, I don't even know you anymore, man. It's just, it's just gotten bad. You're just an embarrassment at this point. And, there's really nothing he can say to it because he knows that it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately following that, he wakes up late and he runs to the ship, and the ship's already left. And he knows that that is basically the absolute end of his career. Once the ship leaves without you, that's it. You are actually brought up on criminal charges.
Damn.
And he knows that, given the fact that the captain didn't wait on him, he was, essentially tired of dealing with Derek.
Right.
And so he pretty much says, okay, I'll just...
Throw in the towel then?
Well, at this point, he pretty much just goes from place to place, bar to bar, and he looks for simple work, just enough to, get alcohol to suppress the memories, not only of his father being a pretty tyrannical guy, but also of his friend being killed and him feeling responsible for it.
Are you sure this isn't
And
Farnham the drunk?
I mean, it kind of sounds like his story, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Although I can't imagine Farnham being an epic sailor either.
Oh, I can. Back in his sober days, you'd be surprised, man.
We need to have a book that's all about Farnham
Farnham didn't mess around.
and Geglash. see what's happening with those folks. Now, in the meantime, with all this that's going on, Cholik has spent the last 3 years studying, and he's using these arcane texts that Cabraxis gave him. And in the pages of this one book, as he's reading it, the pages are made of human skin. It's written in blood. It's bound by children's teeth, and with
Oh, gross.
Always a good sign.
yeah, it has a human tongue as a page marker that actually talks.
Um,
Yeah. Now, this is just one of the mini books, and it says, yeah, this actually isn't even the worst of the ones Cabraxis gave me. Ugh. Yeah.
Necronomicon, anybody?
Gets weird when the book starts talking and becomes a wacky sidekick for the rest of the
Oh, it's funny you should mention that. There actually is a wacky sidekick in a later book, but that's for a necromancer, and I'll get all into that later. But no, it actually talks about a part where he closes the book, and the tongues and whatnot in it are all like, no, and he's all, I should feel guilty. And I think that's why Cabraxis made them do that. I should be studying, and the little tongues are telling me so.
Right.
So one thing that happened, Cabraxis actually, I don't think it actually says it directly, but he's riding in this really decadent carriage, and it's because the merchant had actually come into some really bad luck and died mysteriously, and his group were looking to pay off the debts and these serious issues that had fallen upon their caravan, and sold it to basically the priest and his group at a severe discount. And
Right.
keep in mind, Cholik is pretty damn rich at this point, because all of that gold and jewels and all this other stuff that was down with Cabraxis is now traveling with him with his blessing. It's like, well, it's going to be put to use now. And they're riding out to a city called Bramwell that is west of Westmarch, I believe. It's kind of an intermediate-sized city. It's not like super big like Westmarch is, but it still has a pretty respectable population, has a lot of history to it. And there's some old power down beneath it that Cabraxis is particularly interested in. And so they go to actually found a church there. But, one thing that you can tell with Cholik is he really wants to build this super huge epic church that would dwarf even the Church of the Light, the Zakarum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Cabraxis is like, you're thinking too small, man. We don't want to put down roots here and build up a big church because then we can't move anywhere. It's like if you really want to do this, you don't make the church out of bricks and mortar. You make it in the hearts of people. It's like, I guess so. I still want a super crazy awesome church, though.
Misunderstanding the instructions, he goes out and collects a whole bunch of hearts.
Nice. He's like, here. This one's still beating for some reason. It won't stop, but...
I mean, they generally do keep beating for a little while. So with this, he actually goes out. You have this initial part, and it's very different, of course, than how the Zakarum Church would do it. The first lineup, you have all these traveling performers that entertain and gather up a big crowd, and then immediately following that, he goes and speaks. Ordinarily with the really big church like the Zakarum, they would never go through any such pretext, but again, Cabraxis is very cunning. He knows exactly how to get people interested in something. And so, despite Cholik's reservations from all of his years of training from way back when, and keep in mind, Cholik now looks like he's, in his 30s. He's been pretty much supercharged back into a much younger state so that he can accomplish all these things. And once the crowd is gathered, he starts speaking about, the prophet Dean Epstein, and really kind of bringing them into the fold as far as this is concerned. And people aren't really interested, and they're like, oh, the traveling performers are gone. Let's beat it. I don't want to hear this jack-off talk about some religion.
Mm-hmm.
We're already into the Zakarum Church, whatever. So, knowing this, what he actually does is he finds in the crowd, there's this family with a bunch of children. Their youngest one is a cripple. Hasn't really even the power to walk on his own. And there's no telling how long this kid will actually make it in the long run. And the parents and all that are really, what are you doing? Get the hell away. We don't want any,
Right.
And the Cholik is pretty much like, are you tired of being a burden on your family? Wouldn't you rather be strong and walk again?
Oh,
I can help. And so he,
little Benny Hinn action coming on.
Plays into it, and the boys are like, yeah, let's do this, So you see this. There actually were some very cool pyrotechnics, as it were, that happen in this. This ashen snake emerges, in this path, and so Cholik essentially has him. I'll make one other point clear before we go into that. Another thing that would never happen is people didn't talk back to the priests of the Zakarum. It just didn't happen because there were serious consequences if he did that.
Mm-hmm.
These people were all, giving him hell because, they didn't know who he was. They thought he was some kind of scam artist.
Right.
And he had to swallow his pride. He's like, man, in that crazy-ass book, I could just turn you inside out, man. It's like, so he's like, okay, be calm. It's all good. We're just going to get through this. And he has him go along this path, the snake. And when he does, he's now, at the end of it, he goes, he's strong, he can walk, he can run, he can do all these things. And then he hears Cabraxis' voice in his head, and he says, tell the boy to come back right now, very quickly. This is going to end very badly if he doesn't. Because the length of the ash snake is now, disappearing. It's, almost like you could imagine a trail of gunpowder being burned out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, why? I mean, what's the big deal? It's like, well, if that trail hits him, he's going to die. Just like, bam, you're gone.
Right.
So he's like, come on, Lex, run to me. Test those legs. Show everybody how strong you are. He's just coaxing him that way. He's like, okay. And he runs and just barely outruns the length of the track. It's like, that was very close. If we didn't make it there, then we would not have been able to return here for a long time. It's like this whole operation would have been for naught.
Yeah.
But he did, and now all of a sudden you have instantly a ton of believers.
Hmm.
Because they saw this miracle performed that even the Zachram church couldn't do.
Right.
And you also have this very interesting conversation between Cholik and Cabraxis about the difference between angels and demons and the light and the dark. And it's kind of offsetting when you think about it, because in these instances, Cabraxis does actually heal the sick. You know, it's not like it's point blank, cut and dry, this is all bad. He's, of course, doing it for malevolent reasons, but the power itself isn't, because he does actually have the power to return health to these people. And, you know, obviously the reason why Cholik had sought out a demon in the first place was because demons are the only ones that would actually share in that kind of power.
Right.
Angels pretty much just want to lord over you and dominate you and tell you what to do. And that's kind of how a lot of these instances really happen. So continuing on, Cholik basically continues to heal the sick and all these deformities and all these different problems and gain converts. And they managed to a pretty sizable church. And skipping back, he basically gets hired on in this bar to guard a gambler. Okay, and the game doing pretty good that night, and he's thinking, he could be cheating. He may not. Who knows? It's not really my concern. As long as I get enough alcohol to drown the voices, I'm good. And when they actually exit the bar, they get attacked by, I think, 3 or 4 guys, and Derek actually gets his weapon knocked out, and he gets knocked down, and the gambler actually gets stabbed to death with a knife.
Ooh.
And now he's just kind of thinking, that didn't work out. I actually have another death on my hands.
Well, better drink some more.
As if things weren't bad enough. I mean, and actually there was another little tidbit that happened just before this. While they were still in the bar, Derek looks out and he catches a glimpse of this little trinket. And the trinket has these interlooping rings with a very intricate design that he recognized from the tomb. It was actually the symbol of Cabraxis. And at the time, he didn't really know what it meant. He just knew it's somehow gaining popularity in the world. You know, and it's all because Cholik's church is gaining leeway now.
Right.
And there were actually people that were traveling back and forth that were carrying the symbol of quote-unquote D.N. Epstein.
Interesting.
Yeah. Newly made church is this, you know, like I say, huge structure, just gleaming limestone, just a wonderful, wonderful thing if you're, especially in a town like Bramwell, because you're going, wow, just imagine how much further this thing's going to go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the actual substructure is catacombed with all these honeycomb type designs with secret chambers, so Cabraxis can actually go in and out of the place as he needs to. A lot of times you'll see Cabraxis actually out and about with him. Like there's a part where he describes how he took this guy's body and stuffed his huge demonic body into it and all this. And they generally have a pretty short half-life. You can't maintain a body that way for very long. It'll go from, hey, look, I'm young, to, yeah, I'm looking like I'm in my 50s in a couple weeks. They don't last long. They kind of burn out.
They don't age well.
No, they don't. And so a lot of that was specifically designed so that Cabraxis could, you know, do what he needed to. And within the church, there's actually this huge stone snake that the people actually go into whenever they're going to be healed. That's actually the path of the Black Road, is this huge stone snake that can actually move and envelop people.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. I think if I was in a church and I saw people being swallowed up by a giant stone snake, I would be frightened.
Yeah, I'd be like, you guys have fun. I'm gonna take off. It's a nice
But
church, though.
Then, of course, you know, you see him come out the other side healed, and you're like, well, I've got this bum leg. Maybe I'll give it a try.
Exactly which area do they come out of?